Hello everyone, Hachadino over here, and as you always know, you can like my video, subscribe in any of the cats that is on the side, also become a member if you are interested, and check out the spreadsheet that we have. Remember, here will be all of the guides indexed, because as you know, YouTube, it's kind of a bad thing to try and search for things. Now, let's begin. This is the Deathstalker build that we will likely use for single target encounters with Shadowdust. I will also be doing another one with Dark Brew, but do keep in mind that this one does a little bit more damage. The difference is not as huge as in Trickster. In Trickster, you don't really play Dark Brew, but here with this one, we will play Dark Brew sometimes if you are interested in that. Now, as you always know, I like to do clips for this kind of things, so I will roll the clip. I won't talk over it, and then we will kind of make do with the explanations. I will explain also why we use those things, but first I will just explain the opener itself for people that already know more or less the spec or the hero talent thingies. Just so don't know, kind of one thing, of course, this is not 100% set in stone. It's just kind of the best that we have right now. And if I make any mistake, you can always tell me. No issue. So let's begin. Okay, so you saw that one. There's also one thing that I want to talk about this also, but this is the opener without the trinket called Treacherous Transmitter. What does this mean? This means that deal will be useful until you get the trinket. I will do another video when I actually get the trinket, and I can show you people how that one would be done, because the trinket actually warps our opener, making the first 15 seconds way more important. As you can see here, we still follow kind of thing from the past expansion, where you want to get those two hot blood secret techniques inside flagellation and make it, of course, so you don't really have to look that much at your combo points or things like that that are actually annoying with the spec. Because as you know, Darkest Night needs full combo points. But now let's begin with the opener itself. These are, of course, the talents that you will be using. Then, of course, we will begin with a Shadow Strike, and we have the proc here for no witnesses, but we won't be using it, at least like this, because Shadow Strike does more damage. We also have thing that we use right now. Remember, we have the talent that was an assassination talent, and now it's let's say class skill that is cut to the chase. So that's why we will only be using one Shadow Strike and then using Slice and Dice. It's important that we get this finisher first because it gives a lot of damage. Now we will Shadow Strike twice as we are in Subterfuge. Depending on how things go, of course, if you're in a raid, you're going to use Bloodlust, so this won't be much of a problem, but you may need to wait a little bit for energy, like I had to, if you are in a dummy or different situation. Now, after we get our high combo points, you normally get 7 here because you proc one shadow technique. Meanwhile, now we will use flagellation and rupture. This makes it so our full power now it's on our maintenance finishers. Now we will be, of course, begin stacking the corrupt blood thingy also, and we will enter dance. there is one min max that we will do when we have tier set, and that is we will use symbols of death just after secret technique, but that will be in another video where I'll explain other min maxes that we can do. But if you do this, the difference in damage is not huge anyway. We use secret technique as our first finisher because remember our tier set increases the damage of our finishers in dance by a noticeable amount, and then of course also because after two finishers we are going to be using our Darkest Night proc. Here you see here in my weak aura thing, and now this means that our next eviscerate is going to do a great deal of damage and also give us energy and the 3 Deathstalker mark again. Now here we finish our first dance with a Shadow Strike, and then what do we do? First, as you know, we spend our combo points, and then we will banish and use some abilities outside of Shadow Dance to get place for our Codloot to get inside this part. Of course, if you have the proc, you can wait a little bit actually, or just go inside the second dance just after using banish and one eviscerate. I usually wait until 2 or something like that, depending on how things go. Of course, here if you have the Darkest Night, you can go inside dance with the Darkest Night proc, so it's going to do more damage. I was just trying to be safe because this way we always get that cold blood inside our second dance. Now everything goes well. And also a little thingy, you can use your Clear the Witness proc when you are outside dance and without symbols of death. Now, of course, that is the opener itself. Now I'm also going to talk about other things, but Deathstalker doesn't have much. Like that opener I did there, it's not even super perfect because, as I said before, you can go into dance a little bit earlier as you used the secret technique inside of that. So, for example, if I wanted, I can also show you the difference between, like, this is a Shadow Strike, as you can see, does like 100k damage or something like that, and this also does less. So that's why we are not using our Clear the Witness proc on pull. Of course, you will also do the in-between things a little bit different, because let's say now we're going to do the opener itself. Okay, we get our Dusker Knight proc here. After using it, it does quite a little bit more damage, then the dance ends, and you can go into the banish. Maybe you can see it's 2 or 3 globals that you need to stay in the banish thingy before you go into dance. You can kind of min-max it a little bit more, but the damage difference is not huge anyway. And that would be the opener. Now for the general gameplay things, you just know that as Deathstalker, we will be using those 2 dances in the opener, and then we will be using 1 dance every time we get our symbols of death back. And in 1 minute and 30 seconds after the pool begins, let's say, we get our Shadow Blades back. We won't be using Flagellation at 1 minute like the other time in the past expansion. Apart from because the Treacherous Transmitter Trinket, also because our timers align better with this right now. Also because there is quite a little bit more damage that we do on our first dance because of hero talents. So we actually want to have Shadow Blades in that one. Remember that before we used Flagellation, then we did dance, then banish Blades. Now Blades is a little bit more impactful on the first one because of Poop the Grass and also because of Darkest Night. So that will be that. I will also have a little representation, thanks to William, of course, from the Rogue Discord for making it, for copying it in my sheet. I will be updating it with kind of some things below the Deathstalker place. when you will see for dust and for dark brew. For dust, basically you do 2 1 1 2 1 1 2, etc., etc., until like 6 minutes and a half, where the banish situation breaks. But there is likely that does not happen in bosses unless it's the last one. And in the interfaces you can kind of bank on banish charges and just do a normal 2 minute one, and then on the next one you can come back to using it. Long fights are not likely to appear from the ones that I have seen. And Surek, we don't know anything about her, kind of, but for other things I do recommend that. Now, of course, this is like the first look at the raid single target one, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm not going to keep you here any more time. If you have any questions or anything, you can just ask me in the comments, sorry, or in Discord or whatever, and I will answer if I have it. If not, I can just look for it and answer. Now I'll see you on the next video.